Welcome to the Super Awesome You. Coming to you on the Super Awesome Mix Podcast Network, I'm your host, Samer Abu-Selvi. Each week I'll be covering motivation, goals, and some of the science behind these things, and of course be adding one song to our ongoing motivation playlist, which is available in the show notes. If you enjoy the show and you're listening on a podcast player that lets you rate the show, please take a moment and leave a 5-star rating and review. It is so very appreciative. Regardless of the player that you have, if you know someone in your life that could really benefit or enjoy a show like this, please pass it along. It helps grow the show and reach more people and make all of us a little bit more awesome. This week I'm going to be covering the topic of self-doubt and why I think it's actually a good thing when it happens. So doubting yourself obviously isn't great. And I know I just said that it's a good thing when it happens, but hear me out. Whenever we have self-doubt, it can really push us back. It can stop us from going after something that matters to us. We start to lose our confidence in our ability to execute on something, to get a little bit closer towards our goal. We talked about this in the first episode, where that voice is really coming from and what's happening. In short, it's a protective mechanism. Your brain doesn't want you to fail. It doesn't want you to feel feelings of shame or failure. It also is kind of lazy and doesn't want to spend a lot of energy doing new things. And like anytime you do something new, it burns a lot of energy. It takes a lot of work to learn something new and lay down those new pipelines in your brain and in your muscle and in your muscles. That is kind of the origin of why that voice pops in your head telling you, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Like, this doesn't seem like a good idea. Do you have the strength for it? Do you have the intelligence for it? Do you have the confidence for it? And all these undermining questions. But I believe that you can flip this around and turn this into a positive thing. My experience is anytime I have a lot of self-doubt, it means that I'm growing. It means that I'm doing something that is stepping out of my comfort zone. And as a spin instructor that I had would say, I'm finding the comfort in discomfort. I am discovering that because I'm uncomfortable, it means that I am stepping out, of something that is routine. I'm trying to get a little bit stronger. I am trying to get more confident. I am trying to get smarter. Whatever the task at hand is, that self-doubt is creeping in because it's something that is unusual for me. It's something that I'm not familiar with. And I might be awkward. I often am whenever I'm doing something new. I can't tell you how awful my very first spin class ever was. I felt like such a mess. Of course, I went into the very back row, to the darkest corner of the room, and I could barely keep up with the beat. I didn't even understand how to find the beat in a song, so my legs were just completely off what everyone else was doing, and I must have just looked a mess, basically. And that's fine, right? Because we need to give ourselves that space to not immediately be good at something whenever we try something new. The key thing was that I enjoyed it. It was a challenge. I loved the loud music that was associated with it. I really liked the instructor and everything she was telling me and helping me, do this hard act. And if I had listened to the doubt that was telling me, oh, don't do that, you're going to be awful at that, which, by the way, was true. I really was kind of awful at it, but I never would have had the opportunity to fall in love with it. I would have stayed home, I would have skipped the spin class, and I never would have given myself the space to realize, that actually clicked with me. Like, that was actually really, really fun. I had been a runner at the time, so I never imagined jumping on a bike and cross-training and doing something completely different. I'm generally the type of person that whenever I like something, I just go really hard on that one thing and I don't want to introduce anything else. So it really was stepping out of my comfort zone because I was doing something very unusual for me, not only in the fact that it was spin, but also in the fact that I was trying to do something in addition to running. The self-doubt was a signal that I was going to do something new. It was a signal that I am stepping out of my comfort zone. So that is how I think we should all view the voice of doubt going forward. Whenever you start to hear yourself kind of pull yourself back, it means that you're about to do something awesome. Whether it is going to a workout class and feeling really awkward and out of place, or it is signing up for being a volunteer and stepping into a room full of people who've probably all been there many, many times before and know how to volunteer and know each other, and you're the new person and you're just trying to find your footing. Whether it is starting a business for the first time and literally having no idea where to begin. All of these things push us, but then we do it. We figure it out. We learn a little bit. We make mistakes. We fall down. We get back up. People talk a lot about the beauty of being a child in the vein of how they are unafraid to make a mistake because they haven't been taught that mistakes are bad yet. They view mistakes as literally just part of the journey. You stand on your 2 feet and then you immediately fall. That is just as much a part of the journey as walking successfully from point A to point B. And we really do forget that. We forget that because society does kind of beat it into us that we should just be marvelous at the first go at something. But wouldn't that be so boring if that were true? Like if tomorrow I wanted to take up bowling or archery or, I don't know, launch a multi-billion-dollar industry and I could just do it the same day that I had that thought. Yeah, that sounds kind of, cool at first glance, but if you ever played a video game and cheated at that video game, like I have a lot of memories of playing SimCity back in the day and discovering that if you typed a certain word into the console, it could unlock a lot of money or it could turn off natural disasters or there were cheat codes. And at first it was really fun because I was like, look at this. I'm like a millionaire in SimCity. I can literally build everything that I want. And how cool is that? But then I got really bored really fast because I removed all the challenge from it. I no longer had to manage all of these unexpected things. I didn't have to use my brain anymore to try to quote unquote beat the game or grow a really massive, successful city. So yeah, we kind of crave the cheat code, so to speak. We want to just jump to the good part, as that one song says, let's skip to the good part. But I think in reality, it's so much more rewarding. It's so much more fun when we stumble along the way, when we learn along the way, when we push ourselves. That at least has always been my experience. I'll give you one more example in my life. I was part of a pre-med group in college, and like many clubs, we had officer positions that you would run for. And I put my name in the hat to be the kind of the CTO of the organization. I think at the time it wasn't called CTO or anything like that. I was, pre-startup days before everyone knew what a CTO was. But in either case, I put my name in the hat for that position, and I had no competitors for it. And I thought, this is great. I don't even have to run for it. I'm just automatically going to get the position, and how cool is that? And then like 20 minutes before, the last possible time to submit your name to run for this position, someone else threw their name into the ring. And I remember being kind of tantrumy about it. I was a little bit of a 12-year-old about it. I got so annoyed. I was like, oh my goodness, like I had that position. It was mine. I didn't even have to do anything. I was just going to get it. Grumble, grumble. And I think, honestly, it was my sister who kind of encouraged me, was like, yeah, but you're going to have so much more fun when you win it anyway. And I loved that because it didn't, I had the confidence of being like, right, I'm going to win it anyway, because of course I'm going to win it because this is my position to hold. And I put together a great presentation. I practiced it. I got really into wanting to win it because it was important to me. I had felt that it was already mine and I didn't want anyone to take that away from me. And whenever the votes came in, I got the position, and it was truly so rewarding. I mean, when I think about it, what a small thing way back in the day. It seems like a small victory in the course of all of humanity, but it was important to me. And it also became an example for me anytime I consider putting in, having to put in work to get to the reward. I remember how awesome it was back then for even something so kind of trivial in the grand scheme of things. So yes, we often want to just show up and be great at something. We often want to just prove our doubt completely wrong and be like, look, it turns out I really was great at this. But I think there's a difference between what you want and what you enjoy. This week's song of the week is by Fitz and the Tantrums, and it is called I Just Want to Shine. This is such a feel-good song for me. A lot of Fitz and the Tantrum songs are very, very feel-good. They just have a very particular sound with all of their music. They are a band that, plays with horns and his voice is just so like peppy and unique. I absolutely love it. And in particular, I think this is an appropriate song for this week because, everyone deserves to shine. Like he sings a lot about like, good night stress. I'll see you in the morning. Like, I don't want to be in my head. I'm not going to go in there because dangerous things happen in there. And I think it's kind of appropriate because, I'm not saying to ignore the voice in your head in this case, but sometimes it's best to kind of acknowledge it, but then politely ignore it. Just say, no, thank you. I'm good. and get back to being your super awesome self. So I hope you enjoy this song. I always do it. It brings a smile to my face whenever I play it and gives me a little bit of pep in my step for sure. Until next week, stay super awesome because you already are, and I'll see you then.